We will address now the era of the Sahaba. We talked about the era of the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet ﷺ taught the Sahaba, so we need to know how did the Sahaba act. First of all, there are three important qualities linked to the Sahaba, not to any other generation. Number one, they witnessed the revelation. They lived it and witnessed it. It's not transmitted to them. Even the one who didn't witness the revelation of the very same ayah, he would have witnessed the revelation of another ayah. And Sahaba used to inform each other, and Rasulullah ﷺ used to tell them immediately. And we know that the revelation is not restricted to Quran. All of the teachings of the Prophet ﷺ are revelation-based teachings. So the Sahaba lived this naturally, and actually they lived it instantly. Second point is that they witnessed in real time the explanation of Al-Quran Al-Kareem and applying it in different times. The third point is that the Prophet ﷺ himself used to guide the Sahaba in all aspects of life. These three qualities didn't exist in any other generation. There is another fourth quality which is related to Arabic language, but this quality can be shared by others. From among the Tabi'een, they also mastered the Arabic language. Even Imam Shafi'i, traced to the Imam Shafi'i. You know, in defining Arabic language, scholars of what is called Usul al-Nahu, the foundations of the Arabic grammar, they set up certain formation period. Not any statement said or poetic verse said throughout our history can be authority in Arabic. For the statements and poetry which has the authority in Arabic grammar, in Arabic dictionary, in Arabic literature, must be said before within certain frame of time. Any Arabic poetry before Islam has the authority, of course. Quran Kareem has the authority. The statements of Rasulullah ﷺ has the authority, and the statements of Arabs until the 2nd century have the authority. So that era is what is called Ahlul Lugha, the people of the language. The Tabi'een can be included in this, but the first three are exclusively to the Prophet ﷺ, to the Sahaba, Ridwanullah Ta'ala alayhim. As we noticed before, when we talked about the time of Muhammad ﷺ, the Sahaba exercised ijtihad, and the Prophet ﷺ would correct them instantly if needed. This didn't happen to any generation. The Sahaba heard from Rasulullah ﷺ the ayat that talk about the inheritance. And of course the son has certain share, the father has certain share, and so on. But also they heard Rasulullah ﷺ saying, Al-Qatilu la yarith. The killer doesn't have his share or her share in the inheritance. So they immediately realized the relationship of this hadith to the other ayat. They realized that the other ayat are general, but this hadith is particular. The other ayat are general am, and this hadith is khas. And they realized the relationship between the am and the khas. That the khas, the particular, excludes certain items from the general rule. This rule is in Usul al-Fiqh, and the Sahaba took it first hand, in real time, directly by living with the Prophet ﷺ. And in addition to this, the Sahaba had certain characteristics. Some of them, as an example, Al-Quran Kareem praised them and praised the Tabi'een, but praised the Tabi'een by being followers of the Sahaba. So they are the ones who received Islam directly from the Prophet ﷺ. No other generation received Islam directly from the Prophet ﷺ except the Sahaba. By studying what the Sahaba did, we can arrive at the following conclusions. The Sahaba moved to many areas, teaching people Islam. And of course, different centers emerged. In Kufa, in Mecca, in Medina, you have great Sahaba, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud in Kufa, Ubay ibn Ka'b and Abdullah ibn Umar in Medina, and in Mecca, and so on. So all of those people started teaching the Tabi'een. So the Sahaba didn't just educate people, but transferred their way of life. There was a transformation in the way people started living. And this was caused by the effort of the Sahaba. The Sahaba received the tafsir from the Prophet ﷺ. That's another point. And as they needed. This helped them understand the tafsir itself, the foundations of the tafsir. An example of this, in addition to utilizing Arabic language, an example of this, Umar ibn Khattab was once asked about one ayah in Surah Abasa, وَفَاكِهَةً وَأَبَّا, and a fruit and fodder. So he was asked, what does Abba mean? What does the quote, which later on translated to mean fodder mean? He said, we are not asked to get into that much details, because he understood the general meaning of the ayah. The ayah talks about what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provided for us. So it's fruit and something else, some plants, some whatever it is. But understanding the ayah does not need understanding that the meaning of that single word. On another occasion, he was reading on the manbar, أو يأخذهم على تخوف, or he will catch them by تخوف, gradually. So he was asked, what does تخوف mean? One single word. He didn't give the first answer. He didn't know, so he asked, who knows? So a Bedouin quoted him a poetic verse that means تخوف means gradually. So Allah will catch them gradually. Now, these two different answers didn't happen in a haphazard way, but rather Umar ibn Khattab, got this from the way he interacted with the Prophet ﷺ. The point is, and from the Quran, because the Quran is meant to be a book of guidance, and Rasulullah ﷺ gave them the tafsir as needed. So if the meaning of the word is not needed, then you didn't need to put that much effort in that. If you want to put, that's fine, but it's not needed. And in the second example, the meaning of the ayah needs from him to understand the meaning of that word. So he searched for it. And when a poetic verse was quoted to him, he told them, عَلَيْكُمْ بِدِيوَانِكُمْ. So stick to your diwan. Maintain your diwan. So he was asked, what is our diwan? He said, your poetry in the Jahiliyyah, in which you will find the tafsir of your book. So this point, Umar ibn Khattab gave these answers later on. But those answers were not from the top of his head, but rather from whatever Umar ibn Khattab got from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. In another example, Umar ibn Khattab was reciting an ayah, وَسَارِعُوا إِلَى مَغْفِرَةٍ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ وَجَنَّةٍ عَرْضُهَا السَّمَاوَاتُ وَالْأَرْضُ, and march forward towards a forgiveness from your Lord and a Jannah, it's as wide as the heavens and the earth. So some from among the people of the book, they asked, where is the hellfire? If the heavens is equal to the earth and the skies, then where is the hellfire? So Umar ibn Khattab answered them with another question. When we witness the daytime, now it's daytime, where is the night? We cannot say that night vanished. It's either day or night. This is not the day. The day consists of daytime and night. So if it is a daytime, it doesn't mean that there is no night. And when the night comes, it doesn't mean that there is no daytime. Both of them exist. So the Jannah exists and the hellfire exists. And the fact that the Jannah is very vast doesn't mean that there is no space for Jahannam. So again, Umar ibn Khattab didn't give this answer from his own. And maybe he doesn't have direct answer on this from the Prophet ﷺ. But the whole process, the entire process Rasulullah ﷺ used, which we talked about, including the interactive way, including building the critical way of thinking, including having Aqidah as the reference, the entire process built this mentality and empowered Umar ibn Khattab to give the answer, which we talked about before, that the Sahaba believed in the supremacy of the Wahy. At the same time, they lived in such a way that they will be able to face the challenges they are facing as they come up. Another point, that the Sahaba did not focus just on one aspect. They maintained certain aspects from the Prophet ﷺ, and they had their freedom to be innovative in some other aspects. So when it comes to the way of thinking will be built, the way the frame of thinking should be built, that was maintained. When it comes to the supremacy of the revelation, that was maintained. But when it comes to the styles, that was changeable.